It's ding ding, two men in a ring. We put pride in your stride and a quiver in your liver. You want 'em, we've got 'em, coming to you. Loud and proud, he's the biggest, he's the baddest. It's Mr. Gavin Davis on the Gavin Davis Podcast Show.
And welcome back to part 2 with Lloyd Cooper, aka the Yorkshire Gripper. So, we've gone through some quite interesting stuff there, the first 45 minutes of the interview. What I want to do, I want to change topics slightly. If I was a white belt walking in your gym right now, and I've never done no jiu-jitsu, right?
Yep.
What would be 3 tips that you would give me?
Yeah, okay. Expect to lose and be happy about it. 1.
Yeah.
Stay on top at all costs. And then number 3 is tell me one thing you did well at the end of every round. So mentality stuff, I think. Maybe the second one's tactical, but
yeah.
Do
you really think the second one's that important as a white belt? Because then you're not really learning your guard as much?
It's more the fact that I see them. I'm probably talking about it from like I said, that is a mentality point. The reason I think number 2 is important is because you'll have seen it. The amount of guys that are like, "Oh, I've slightly been tipped onto my elbow. I'm just going to flop to my back." You know what I mean? That seems to be a very natural thing for a lot of these guys. So just having that bit of a fight to say, "Don't go on your back." You know, I mean, fight to stay on top no matter what it's a simple instinct to train, and will probably make their life a little bit easier, and they become more difficult as a direct result of that. Now, obviously, there's a time and a place for them to learn guard, for sure. But if they're a white belt just joining, 99% of the chance that they're just going to get the guard pass and get smashed anyway. But if they've just got that mentality or the simplicity of try to get on top, I suppose that's going to preempt a lot of loops of technical learning. Okay, well, you know, I've tried pushing him over here, or I tried picking this leg up. But I think most of them, like I say, are mentality. People's expectation in jiu-jitsu is they watch videos of UFC guys submitting people and think, okay, a win is a submission. When in reality, when you are under a year in jiu-jitsu, a win is probably you got one sweep, or you didn't get submitted 20 times, you got submitted 5 times. That's probably, most white belts should reframe what their criteria for a successful night is and be realistic with respect to it. You know, all we do is watch tons of videos of superstars submitting dudes with heel hooks or, like I say, submissions in the UFC, and we think that jiu-jitsu is just about the finish. You know what? And I love the finish. I think it's, you know, I've done a lot of submission only for that reason, but it misguides people's interpretation of what success is badly, causing them to lose motivation and probably leave or stagnate at best.
Yeah. Yeah. What about blue belt? I want 2 at blue belt. 2 tips for a blue belt. Because it starts changing the dynamics now, don't we?
Yeah. You know what? My advice on this has stayed the same for years and years and years, right? Tell me what your 2 best sweeps are and become fucking excellent at them. And tell me what your 2 best passes are and become fucking excellent at them. And, you know, if a blue belt has 2 of each, you know, from bottom to, or 2 from bottom, 2 from top, and is very, very good at executing them, they're going to do well. Then I'd suggest purple belt is about how you know, capitalize on those 2 major transitions, you know, holding side control, mount, back, and starting to get into finishing game. And then by the time you're into brown belt, it's just refinement, I guess. But blue belt for me, just be very good at 2 sweeps. You know, if you get something into context, I know I can sweep.
Now, this is interesting now, because I actually was talking to Owen Levesey yesterday about this a little bit. And I think that judo does this better than jiu-jitsu. Like, high-level judokas, they get good at 2, like they understand a lot of things, right? But they get world class.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe two throws, 2 techniques.
Yeah.
But what we try and do in jiu-jitsu, we try and like master like everything, or try and like be like good at this, good at this, good at so many things, and then you're missing the details on maybe 2 or 3 techniques that you need.
I guess in a similar way then I probably share that ethos that you mentioned there. Yeah, look, the thing with blue belt is you've got enough technical understanding that you can have a bash at most things, and then you go down the rabbit hole of YouTube and all bollocks like that,
Yeah.
or you're being directly misled by your coach, because obviously the coach has to show a syllabus and it moves through a lot of different topics, and you're putting your energy and effort into lots of different learning. Like I say, is that if whenever blue belts ask me for advice, I'm saying unless you can answer me what the two really good sweeps you can hit are and the two from two passes, go away and fix those things. You know, you should know very clearly in your brain what those two scenarios are from top and bottom, where you know you're going to be odds on you're going to be successful. You know, you should have a purple and brown belt level sweep for as a blue belt, and you know one thing you know you can hit. So yeah, because I've been there as a blue belt. I'm like, oh, I'd love to learn berimbolos. They look cool, and then
Yeah.
I'll go and throw some random back takes in there, and it doesn't help you to get better.
No. Yeah, it's more of an efficiency thing, isn't it? What you're trying
Yeah,
to achieve with that. Would you keep that the same for competition blue belts, or like people who are just like coming in once, twice a week around work as blue belts? Would you
good
keep the
point.
focus the same there?
Okay, I'd encourage that mentality more for competition guys. Hobbyists, I'd probably encourage an element more of play and understanding and stuff like that. Yeah, look, you look at any blue belt match, usually what happens is whomever executes the first 2 point move, odds on goes to win. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Is if
Yeah.
they get a sweep up first and they'll get to top, beautiful. Then they tend to pass or they'll take the 2 point win. Or same as if they're passing and they they can hit the 3 point move thereafter, invariably those people win. So as daft and as rigid as it sounds, competitive guys, I'm saying, become even better at those things. Don't worry too much about, can I go from mount to back and stuff like that. Because if you're able to sweep and then pass, you're 5 points up, sorry, more than that, you're 9 points up.
Yeah.
So don't stress, I guess, so much, you know what I mean? Just focus more on those things, because competition rewards specializing. Similar to what you said about judo, the world class at one or two things, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and all you're trying to do in a competitive scenario is curate the match into, and I always talk about context to be successful. A lot of people make the mistake in jiu-jitsu of, well, I'm going to try and X pass, let's say, from fucking wherever. Whereas what they should be doing is going, well, if I get to this particular gripping position, I know I can hit my X pass perfectly.
Yeah.
And people got it the wrong fucking way around. They're always like, "Well, do this pass from lasso, from reverse del hiva," and they get messed up. Whereas it should be grip fight, grip exchange until they get to the context where they know they can be successful. And
Yeah.
that's all competing is for me, is become more excellent at the things you do well and know how to maneuver yourself into that context in order for you to win.
Yeah. So when you started jiu-jitsu, you spoke about earlier about what it taught you. Okay, when that 14-year-old triangled you and tapped you, and and then you just didn't understand strength properly and efficiency and stuff like that. Looking back now on your career, what would you say jiu-jitsu's taught you? Anything different?
I think the best thing that's happened to me in jiu-jitsu, outside my missus and kids, that's what it's given me first and foremost.
Yeah.
But it's not, I don't think it's the physical combat thing. I don't think it's the fitness thing. It's the mentality that jiu-jitsu has given me, is that I think I've been successful in my day job because I've done a lot of jiu-jitsu and I understand the value of hard work. Like I said, before doing jiu-jitsu, I'd never had any amount of difficulty to face, you know what I mean? And just 3, 4, 5 times a week, having people try to choke your head off and put you into an absolute black hole of cardio has given my mindset such that I can look at any situation and be like, okay, it's really bad, but I need to just work enough 1% and it'll be 100% better than it is. And like I say, I think I like to think of myself as a decent level of enlightenment at this age, 36. And I think it's all come out of jiu-jitsu. Just being constantly put in those hard moments, and and in my mindset now is that I'm capable of anything in life. It's just an X amount of hard work away. And I don't think I would have had that not been for doing jiu-jitsu so in depth for all these years.
Are you steering more towards the no gi now? Because I noticed a lot of your I've seen you in the gi, but most of your stuff I see online now is no gi based.
Yeah, I suppose there's a couple of reasons for that. So when I won the Euros, I was doing both equally, and kind of at that point, maybe not before, but around that time, I probably had a choice of going full time, doing the whole being a jiu-jitsu bum and trying to, keep pushing on and getting bigger comps and, doing it full time. And I didn't really want to do that, me and my missus thinking about kids, my career was going all right. So my perspective was I don't want to go all in on jiu-jitsu. I'm not willing to sacrifice other elements of my life.
Well, sorry, what do you do for work? What do you do day to day?
I'm a director of a business, mate. So yeah, I'm
Okay,
a
so you're
director of
busy,
a £15 million a year business.
right? Okay, yeah,
So yeah, like my life is genuinely very, very busy. So, put it this way, like I competed last weekend at Grapple Max. 2 days before I was in Europe on work, you know what I mean? I didn't train for 4 days before that. So
yeah.
yeah, it's full on corporate, running a big factory, mate. So it's difficult.
Okay.
But what I wanted to do was like I wasn't willing to sacrifice the growth I've had in, let's say, my job just to get a little bit better in jiu-jitsu or win some more comps. Now, I think I didn't want to sacrifice anything else. So that's when I focused all of my activity into being as good as I can on a couple of things. So gi was a necessary sacrifice to be even better in no-gi with the limited time I had to spend. I suppose that's what I'm trying to say is that if I'm not going to give up my day job, I'm
Yeah.
not going to not have kids or anything like that, and I still want to be to a decent level and relevant, then I had to, and I had to become even better at the things I was good at, and I was good in leg locks and the gi. But the way I looked at it was the emergence of submission only matches in no gi, and submission only being, in my opinion, the purest form of jiu-jitsu. Positional doesn't matter, it's just about the finish. So then I was like, okay, so I can still do damage, versus my peer group who are full-time athletes who train all day, every day. I can still do damage if I'm very, very good at a couple of things, and that is achievable even in the context of having a job, a missus and kids and family. So I absolutely love the gi. I definitely haven't done it much over the last few years, but it was a conscious decision just to be good at a couple of things while I'm not training full time. I train 3 days a week, and I guess blowing smoke at my own trumpet, I'm still a very, very dangerous level versus people who do train full time, and even though I train only 3 days a week, because I know
But
where I'm good at.
are you getting better quality sessions in and you're getting more rest days though as well? You're actually having rest because I think as athletes sometimes we don't rest enough.
A little bit of that. I'm actually training more now than I have done in years. Like on my days when I'm not doing jiu-jitsu, I'm getting up at 5 and I'm doing like S&C. Like my body's really started to come unstuck the last few years.
Yeah.
So I'm putting more and more S&C in now just to keep my body tip-top shape. I think it's probably just the environment I've been able to create at Gripper, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I've kept it competitive and cultivating people to be dangerous, not I've got 150 people paying me a membership just to be nicey. I've got the depth in the room to lean into, you know what I mean? So the fact that even when I'm not competing or haven't been competing regularly for the last few years and in semi-retirement, I've got to be sharp for all the young guys coming up, and I've got to push them, you know what I mean? So, and now especially most of our focus is no gi, but it's more to do with the fact that we're just trying to get good at that. You know,
Yeah.
we do gi, not very much, but I think probably now I've got to the point that I do enjoy no gi the most by a mile. But
Yeah.
nonetheless, I will definitely be coming back to the gi. It's just I've been trying to. I guess that my appetite since black belt has been not about any one comp, as we spoke about earlier. It was just getting to the point where I could get as good as I could achieve. And I think, like I said, with Polaris and stuff like that, I'd got to that point without having to change or sacrifice my life in terms of stop a day job. You know what I mean? Stop having kids and stuff like that. So, and I wasn't willing to make that change. So I kind of ticked that box. And now I'm just doing it for the enjoyment, and I still like being in the trenches with the boys every day.
Yeah. And from speaking to you this last hour, I get the vibe as well that you just said you got 150 members there at Gripper.
No, we haven't. We've got
No,
50 members.
50 members, right?
What I'm
But
saying is, yeah, if I'd have been nice and had really soft classes, maybe I could have had 150.
yeah, but so you got 50 members, but as long as you've got the quality, you're not bothered about quantity.
Yeah,
You're after the
100%.
quality, and you're not doing this for a pound. There's some people that get into martial arts to make money. You're doing this because you love it and you enjoy it, and you just want to get better, and you want the people around you to get better.
For sure. You
Yeah,
know, I think I enjoy the most now is being a little bit of a mentor or a leader to the guys. You know what I mean? Like you say, some of the videos you see of me, like the belts ain't shit video, every now and again, if I've gone through a couple of difficult sessions or I've got a particular thought in my mind, you know, after a heavy session, I'll just have a 2 or 3 minute bit of wisdom. I was like, right, tonight's wisdom is this.
yeah,
I mean, because I see my job as their leader to, of course, push them, of course, train them into being beasts, but it's about me sharing bits of my wisdom so that they leave more competent in every aspect of their life. That's what I get a lot of gratification out, is that, you know, people can go and lose weight and then can go into the day job and absolutely smash that to bit and gets promotions, or can pull themselves out of depression and become more of a positive person, or can then go and influence others or get the dream job. You know, that's what I'm really, really buzz off. Not just being a jiu-jitsu coach, is helping people's lives onwards, you know what I mean? And that's the room I've created at Gripper, is that, and we've got a club of guys that are all leaning into each other. You know, we all absolutely rip the piss out of each other and bring each other down to earth. But if you ever needed a team of blokes to go to bat with you, I count on all of my guys that we've got that collective and that brotherhood.
yeah. I have so I'm training with Chris Clear at the moment.
Okay, yeah.
One of Kev Capel and Hodger Gracie's black
Yeah.
belts. I really enjoy it there, but every night I drive home, it
Russell
takes me.
Brand's coach, right?
Yeah. Brand trains with us. Yeah, yeah. Do you know something? He moves well for a big, because he's a big chap, Russell.
6 foot or something.
Yeah, no, but I think he's a bit bigger. I think he's about 6'2", 6'3".
All right,
He's
yeah, fair
big,
enough.
man. But
Perfect.
he moves really well. Chris does a lot of one-on-ones with him as well. But he gets out to America. He trains with some, you know what I mean? He trains with a couple of the Gracies out there. He also, I think he's done a bit with Regan Machado and people like that out
Oh,
there.
nice.
But yeah, when I drive home, I have a 25-minute reflective
Perfect.
practice in my mind, right? So some nights I drive home and I'm buzzing. What I've tried to hit, I've hit. What I've wanted to do, I've achieved. And then other nights I drive home and then I have to leave it at the door when I step in the door at home, right? Because I have that 20-minute battle with myself driving home mentally. Like, I was shit tonight. I couldn't get anything working. I couldn't get anything. And I leave her at the door. And I think that's important to do as well, to have reflective practice on your jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. If you want to get good, you need to be putting mental energy into jiu-jitsu after the fact.
Mm.
You know, debrief what you did good and what you could do better. So many people don't. You know, they turn up not really setting their. Even before, a lot of people just turn up, flop through the door, do a few rounds, and fuck off, and they're wondering why they're not getting better. Whereas,
Yeah,
if they set their intention upon arrival, well, I'm working on this, so at least tonight in the 5 rounds, I want to get a couple of this particular sweep and
yeah,
actually try to execute that. And then afterwards, you know what I mean? There's one mental practice I get a lot of my guys to do is after every round, irrespective of the outcomes of that round, debrief one or two good things that happened, right? And so you might get absolutely smeared by the mat enforcer, but okay, what went well? What could you take from that? And what that gets people in the habit of doing is looking for frames of positive reference, even in the most difficult of circumstances. So when you translate that into competition, you've just done 6 months of every single round going, oh, okay, yep, this is really bad, but oh yeah, but well, I managed to clear the head. So your brain's in a very stressed and constrained position, but it's used to going, we'll do this and work out this way.
Yeah.
And that is all the mental work after the fact, like you say, is that most of us have a bit of a drive home, and the best of us, people who make the most of that, will sit and then think or reflect about the session. But it's funny you say about sometimes you've got to sort your head out. I used to.
Yeah, I got to because I have to wipe the slate clean for the next day then. So when I go training the next day, it's a clean slate. Do you know what I mean?
Me and the missus, I put a sign on our door a few houses ago, and the sign went, "This is the happy handle. To get in the house, you have to be happy."
Right.
Because
Yeah.
it basically just saying don't bring your shit. And at the
Yeah.
time, the reason I put that on was because my day job was really stressful. I was going through a lot of like insomnia problems.
Yeah.
I was bringing the shit in. You know, you bring the negativity in, especially now with kids, that's much more important. So
Yeah.
yeah, and getting in the practice of changing your mindset, irrespective of what's happened, is a big one.
Yeah. The next 12 months, what what have you got planned the next 12 months? Anything big on the horizon? What is the future holding for Lloyd?
Yes, it's interesting that. So I'm making a lot of changes, like sponsored by Progress, a step back from that, just to focus more on myself and do my own thing.
Yeah.
I've done 170 odd seminars in 3.25 years, and I'm stopping that at least for the rest of this calendar year. I'm just making a lot of changes just so I can curate more of my own time and be a bit more focused on me. Um, I didn't really plan to be back out competing, but really enjoyed it on Grapple Max. So
How did you get on, mate?
yeah, I won in 45
Was that
seconds.
the
So
was it the armbar one? I saw a clip of
yeah,
the other day. Yeah, yeah, I did see
yeah.
it. Sorry, I
So
just didn't know that was I just saw the clip of the armbar finish. I didn't know what show it was on though.
yeah, so since November 2021, when I retired from Polaris, I guess that's my third match in nearly 3 years now.
Yeah,
So one match a year average is not very much at all. And Ricky Bellingham's army guy, but he's full time athlete. So he's trained for like last however long, paid full time by the army to
yeah,
train jiu-jitsu. So this guy's savage, wins a lot of comps.
yeah,
And so he brought the absolute best out of me. I respected him a lot, and I did everything right. I trained really hard in the gym. I've had loads of health issues up and down to manage and trying to stay fit, but my S&C's got me into a good position, training really hard in the room, and game planning on the night worked out perfect as well. We knew we were going to be scared of the legs and keep his hips elevated and away. So we were talking about Choi Bar, and that's
yeah,
how it went down.
yeah,
So yeah, that I think a little bit more competition, and I think the different place I'm in now. When I retired from Polaris was, as I spoke about earlier, I got the motive was always get as good as you can get, and I think I ticked that box at that point with Polaris. Now it's just more, if I compete, it'll just be because I want to enjoy the feeling of it, and that's it.
yeah. I think as well. Like you're a couple of years younger than me. You're about 36, and yeah,
Yeah, 36, 37 in a few weeks, but
yeah.
yeah.
So I'm 40 in November, and like I just think we need to go as long as we can with the competing because one day we won't be able to, and then we'll just miss it, man, and then we'll
It's
have
funny.
regrets.
It's funny you say that, Ricky, bless him. We were like, right as we were about to walk out on the stage, and it's an odd thing to say, to be fair, I thought, but he went, right now I'm thinking, why am I doing this? And I was like, fucking hell, that's quite a negative thing to say right before we go and compete together.
Yeah,
Like, it struck me as odd, but I tried to motivate him back up, and I just said, because one day we won't be able to, and that's why I'm doing it. You know what I mean? Like, my body is not a million miles away from being done and dusted. Like,
yeah,
my back's not in good shape, but right here and now it's manageable. I've got to do a lot
yeah,
of things to make it manageable. but I always talk about memento mori and remember you die. And really, all right, maybe it might be tomorrow, maybe it might be in 6 months, maybe it might be in 5 years. But there's going to be an end point where I am not physically capable of doing this anymore, and am I going to squander that remaining time just pissing about, not really doing anything, or am I going to keep pushing that envelope and filling up the memory bank?
Yeah. What plans you got for your gym, mate?
I've always been very loose, I guess, with the gym. It's grown just organically. Like I say, it's not my day job, so I've just been, teaching. And if people want to come and listen, then I'm happy with that. We've moved around the last year or two back over. So it's part of a weights gym, and we've just moved around a few different rooms. Got to get the refurbishment done, but I'll be honest, I think we're filling it up. So we expanded the mat space by about 40 square meters, and the gym's grown a lot in the last year. So maybe new premises in the next year or two, but finish what we're doing first. And really, my goals with respect to the gym is about the students and what they're able to go on and achieve. So what I'd like to say is probably a couple of new black belts in the next year or two, and hopefully one of the stable of black belts win something decent size, some like big submission only show. That's the plan in my mind. And keep building people, changing people's lives one session at a time.
Is
That's
there any
that's the,
is there any boys or girls in the gym that we need to are going to be big on the scene in the next couple of years that we need to be aware of?
so on Grapple Max, Curtis Taylor, he's brown belt, but he's one of our gym coaches. Me and Cal were coaching him on the day, but he won in 1 minute. And I think with Kurt, he's exceptional in the gym, pushes me to the limit. And what we've worked on, I suppose, spoke about a lot in the last few months has been just execution, pulling the trigger a little bit. He had the mentality to build pressure on people. Whereas what we've spoke about going into Grapple Max was go out aggressively and execute the moves. And fucking hell,
Yeah.
pulled guard, entered saddle within about 15 seconds and finished him after about a minute. And so that was perfect. So Kurt's really strong, really fit. It breaks my heart. He's 23 years old and he's a very high level brown belt. He beats up black belts to visit the gym regularly. And he's 23 years old. So
How heavy is you, mate?
80 kilos.
No, it's a perfect weight, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've still got the speed, you've got the endurance, but like when you look at absolutes, it's normally people in that category that normally do well in the absolutes as well.
He's got the good build for it as well. He's a little bit taller than me, like a little bit slimmer, long arms, long legs. So yeah, he's got the good build for it. So Kurt, but there's loads of other young guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've got all the way down to like teenagers coming through that are asking me about, I want to win some big grappling comps and then do MMA later in my career. There's definitely a strong stable at the moment. But yeah, just as an example, Kurt came with me and Kurt smashed an established brown belt in a minute. So fair play to him.
Yeah, I'll give him a look up, mate. Give him a follow and keep an eye on him.
He we call him the nicest guy in jiu-jitsu. He's such a lovely guy. Yeah, he's always very polite, but he's an absolute savage on the mat and he'll make you have a shit night.
Okay. Just before we go, right? Where are you exactly in Yorkshire?
So it's Goole, and the only reason you go to Goole is if you live there.
Right.
So it's on
Okay.
its way to Hull, mate. So
It's up towards Hull. You're not
it's
near Ban
about
Olds.
it's about half an hour this side of Hull is in. So get on the M62 from Manchester and you just go straight, and there'll be a sign for Goole, and you get off the M62, and my gym's about 2 miles off it. So
How far are you from Ban Oldswick?
no idea where that is.
No, it's above. It's like above Halifax.
No, so
that way. You're further east, are you?
We're just south of Selby, just north of Doncaster.
Okay. It's just that I got a friend up in Ban Oldswick area, so if I'm ever up there in that area, I'll pop in.
Oh, come and train, buddy. Yeah,
Yeah.
Get some browsing, mates. Plenty of good little dudes for you to throw around as well.
All day throw me around. So, mate, Lloyd, it's been awesome talking to you, mate. I really appreciate you coming on and everything. I've been after you for a while. Please bring it back. Bring back the old Monday rants, right?
There'll be a lot of happy people.
Okay.
Yeah,
I absolutely love them. Wish you all the success in the world, with your competing, with your gym and everything. And just thanks for coming on, mate. Thank you.
No, thank you. It's good to meet like-minded people. Thank you for your positivity. Keep spreading a positive message. That's what all I'm about now, is sharing positive energy, and you're doing that in spades with your podcast, mate. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Thanks for coming on. Good night, everyone.